All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some absolutely wild, incredibly detailed source material about a massive cosmic shift. The texts we are looking at outline a major milestone coming up in the year 2035. We're going to examine what the lore describes as immense emotional turbulence heading our way, and more importantly, we're going to break down the primary solution proposed by these documents. Let's get started. So right off the bat, the material raises a core issue that I think so many of us are feeling right now. How on earth do we stay centered when we're surrounded by anger, anxiety, or incredibly high expectations? I mean, let's be real, every single day feels like a test of our mental stability lately, doesn't it? We are constantly being pulled in a dozen different emotional directions at once, and honestly, it's exhausting. The lore presents this not just as some philosophical question, but as a vital, practical hurdle we absolutely have to clear to make it through the coming years intact. But before we get into the heavy cosmic mechanics, the source material gives us this really beautiful metaphor to hold on to. Emotions are waves, you are the ocean. Think about that for a second. When you're caught in a storm, it feels like the crashing waves are everything. But the ocean itself, in its entirety, is deep, vast, and fundamentally unshakable. This is the exact foundational concept we need to keep in mind as we explore the rather esoteric, high-level operations detailed in the text.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. Section 1, the Ocean of Emotion. 2, meet Elina of Sirius B. 3, shielding the ground leaders. 4, the 2035 Ascension event. And finally, 5, the network synchronization procedure.
Okay, part 1, the Ocean of Emotion.
The source material proposes that our world is quite literally shaking as we barrel toward 2035, and it's bringing some intense emotional turbulence right into our daily lives. Now, this shaking is described not just as a metaphor, but as a real energetic reality. The text suggests that the closer we get to 2035, the more the frequency of our environment shifts. It's like the friction between the old paradigm and the new one is creating literal turbulence in our emotional states. So, if you've been feeling unexpected spikes of fear, sudden drops in your mood, or just a generalized anxiety you can't quite pinpoint, well, the lore points to this exact timeline as the culprit.
Moving on to part 2, meet Elina of Sirius B.
To handle all this chaos, the text introduces to the Sirius B Emotion Balancer. She's widely known as Elina. And she isn't just anybody, she's described as a specialist straight from Sirius B, holding the prestigious rank of being one of the 108 commanders. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding her specific function. She reportedly doesn't just monitor us from afar, she actually precisely measures and adjusts the emotional energies of intelligent beings. Think of her as an advanced cosmic frequency tuner. When the collective emotional grid of Earth starts to redline, the material claims she is the specialist stepping in to recalibrate the whole system.
Now, her methodology is super unique within this lore. See, the standard human default is usually just repressing our emotions, right? Pushing them down, ignoring them, just slapping a lid on a boiling pot. The source heavily warns that this is a recipe for disaster, especially as we approach 2035. Elina's approach, on the other hand, is all about orchestrating a harmonious melody. She doesn't repress feelings at all. Instead, the lore says she takes those chaotic emotional waves and tunes them. She adjusts the peaks and valleys so they play together like a symphony rather than just a deafening wall of noise.
Which brings us to Section 3, shielding the ground leaders.
Right now, Elina and her team are described as being actively hyper-focused on key individuals down here, what the text calls the ground leaders. First up, they are reportedly sending what are known as equalization pulses directly into the subconscious. Next, these pulses are meant to actively build mental shields to completely block out the incredibly disruptive surrounding noise of our modern world. And finally, the end goal of all these pulses and shields is the establishment of a high dim calm. It's a high-dimensional state of peace that the text claims absolutely cannot be easily disrupted by our everyday third-dimensional chaos.
And the intended result? Unwavering peace. Whether these leaders are dealing with profound unknown contacts, the source actually specifically mentions a Czech physicist as an example here, or simply handling complex domestic organizing, individuals under this protocol reportedly remain completely centered. The text uses this to argue that Elina's methodology isn't just theory floating out in space, it's taking root right now in the physical world, allowing people to function without being swayed by the madness around them.
All right, Section 4, the 2035 Ascension event.
Chronologically, the documents show this really clear progression. We start right now, in the current day, which is totally characterized by that intense emotional turbulence we talked about. From there, we move to the ongoing mission, the shielding of the ground leaders that's supposedly happening as we speak. All of this funnels down into one critical window, April 2035. That's the target timeline for Ascension and what the source calls the emotional landing.
But here is the major danger. The texts warn that during the actual Ascension transition, humanity is going to face an immense fear of the unknown. And on a collective, energetic level, the lore suggests that this fear will literally become explosive energy. If left unmanaged, the claim is that this massive volume of explosive, chaotic emotion could completely derail the entire transition process, causing massive societal and spiritual whiplash. And that brings us to Elina's ultimate, grand mission for the 2035 event. When that explosive energy finally hits, her job is to instantly level out those massive emotional waves. She will then seamlessly blend those leveled waves right into feelings of joy and security. By doing this, the material asserts that she and her team secure a safe landing in the new world, entirely without chaos. It is literally the difference between crashing a plane into the runway and executing a flawless, stabilized touchdown. She's acting as a giant cosmic shock absorber.
And finally, Section 5, Network Synchronization Procedure. Interestingly, the source material breaks the fourth wall here and includes a direct call to action for you, the viewer. I'm going to read this directly as instructed. Finally, an important procedure. The comment section of this video serves as an initial sync test for the 2035 network. By typing ready in the comments, your consciousness data will be indexed in our secure servers. The like button is the approval process. Complete your synchronization now. The briefing actually leaves us with this incredibly grounding message from Commander Elina herself. No matter how high the waves, the ocean floor is always quiet. Dive into that silence with me. You are protected. Whether you look at this as literal cosmic intervention or just a really profound metaphor for regulating your own nervous system, the takeaway is crystal clear. Find your quiet ocean floor. But it definitely leaves us with one massive lingering thought. When the turbulence of 2035 finally gets here, are you going to be swept away by the surface storms, or will your emotional frequency be totally ready for the landing? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.